America, back for 2022. Yes, first step on the road to Derbs is on the way. It's a bit of a, thankfully there's a bit of time to get through it. Back in sunny Port Macquarie, the sunniest place between Brisbane and Sydney at the moment. Well, certainly the driest. If you've been living under a rock, it's been flooding in Brisbane, it's been raining in Sydney, although when I was sitting this morning it actually wasn't so bad. Just the usual treble coming up this weekend. Three long races. Key is to get through that first leg. Once you're through that first leg, everything else will be not plain sailing, but pretty simple. This is on the Saturday. Race starts at 7 AM Sunday, so they have made some changes. Interesting to see what the changes are like, particularly to the course and to the start of the first leg of the half. So we're about to wander through the town green to pick everything up, and we'll show you the start line and all that sort of business, and we'll go from there. So herein lies one of the changes. This is now normally this area here would basically be the turnaround point. What used to happen on the old courses, as you can see, it's very close to the ocean, so it does affect by the breeze, and there's usually a lot of people crossing the road here, so we've got to keep our wits about us on race day. But what usually happens is that what used to happen is the half marathon was 3 laps, 10k was 2 laps, and the 5k was 1 lap, so we'd have to come down the hill there. We'd have to come down that hill, as you can see over there. I'll just pull it out. Come down that hill, there'll be a car about that spot there where I'm walking towards now. We turn around and then have to go back up onto the breakwall 3 times in the half, twice in the 10 and once in the 5. They've extended the course, so now we start here. We only have to come back here twice in the half and once in the 10 and 5. 5k course, I believe, is largely unchanged. Yes, unfortunately a bit dangerous to surf, so no one's in there today. We've closed off the beach for swimming. So there'll be a car parked there. We have to turn around, but it's just tomorrow be like we'd be starting here. What would generally happen, I'll try and take you on half a lap before we get to big pickup. You have to wander back in this direction, have to be very careful of guys coming in the other way. Particularly us slower guys, and particularly later on. Later on in the when there will be people completing the 10, trying to stay out of the way of those dashing through the 5. When dashing in the 5, it'll be very hard. You're really conscious to stay out of the way if you're only on the second lap of the 10, for example. Because they're coming out pace down the other way, coming back this way. We're struggling up the hill the other way. Keep coming up this hill. A few surfers having a crack in there. Yeah. It's not very wide, is it? By the time the race comes, depending on how many cars are parked here, there'll be some that we parked along this wall, parked along here. We may get room, particularly early. They'll be fanned out here and try and go outside the markers, so to speak. Out towards the skate park. The skate park's always very busy. Very tempting to turn to look left, and there's the van park in there as well. There'll be people out just having a squeeze in the morning, hoping to get across quickly to the beach. Often don't take a lot of notice. For a guy like me, learning a new course will be easy. Just follow the crowd. For the others, of the front runners, they'll be pray to God the officials do the right thing. It's okay, so Now the course is already set up because today they had the kids events, 3k, 1.5k, or something for the kiddies. Try and reduce congestion. Used to have them a bit later in the afternoon. Anyway, past the club there, there'll be some queuing up for that toilet, either in the morning or during the run. There's usually a drink station about here towards the turn. It's always usually a good sign. They're always happy to see you, and they always hang around until the last one goes. As we head up towards the breakwall, this is where it can also get fairly congested. You've got to, coming up onto the breakwall itself, again, you want to be out of the way of the leaders because they're coming through. There'll be speed differences, and there's also leaders' bikes and trail bikes, and you've got to be careful of them. You can tell the path is not overly wide because we're on the breakwall itself. You can tell the path is not overly wide because of the barriers protecting us from the skaters. So the big thing here is that if you're going to make an overtaking move, you've got to be decisive in making an overtaking move, but you've got to do it quick, especially if there are guys coming the other way. So you've got to time it, because there's room for what, 1.5 maybe what, 2.5 runners wide is basically the width of this, and in essence one wide going down this way, one wide going down this way, going in that direction, and one wide coming from this way, coming the other direction. Towards the end it does open up appreciably. Also important here to time your run. You want to be fairly strong on this part of the course, but you want to time it. Of course down there you don't want to be overtaking to the other side because you end up going down the hill into the car park. You don't want that to happen. Or worse. There'll be guys on these fishing all the time. So it's a 7 a.m. start tomorrow. A little bit later than normal. 7 a.m. start. I'm thinking it's 6 a.m. but it's 7 a.m. The way things are, you finish by 9:30 the first leg. The second leg by about 10:30 and finish the whole lot by 11:30. Done it before, shouldn't be a problem. The only thing that'll hold me back is the groins. As you know, I've had groin issues the last few months. So hopefully I'm over the worst then. Now this section's deceptively long, but it's long, which is why you got to time it. You don't want to spend all your energy doing this. But with one less crossing this year, with 2 less crossings this year, sorry, possibly part of the plan will be to use this wisely, so to speak. Really use this as a push pad for the 2 laps of the half more so than anything, because I don't want to lose time. I don't want to really lose too much time here. This is where I think you can make up a bit of time. It's a fairly long stretch, and then around the corners again it's again another deceptive long stretch at the end of this road. So we go down the end there, we're going that direction there. Could say this is another deceptive corner coming right up, because again it's so far away. We're almost at race precinct now, which is good. Last year they had it indoors, had pick up indoors, and we had all this checking garbage and all the other shit that's involved. But this year it looks as though everything's going to be a-okay with only minimal restrictions, if you will. Not restrictions, protocols. Not really restrictions. So on the first, so on this lap, you've got to try and stick to the inside. Those on the outside, it's actually a fairly open corner, so at least unlike some of the blinder corners and some of the other ones, you can get a good gauge of where you're going. Run towards the ridges, not at the ridges, but run towards the ridges. We'll get to Rego in a moment. Now, around this area, you'll probably see some people gathering in that area there, even though they're not supposed to. Around that area there, there's usually someone around here serving some food. In fact, there he is there.
That's been fulfilled.
Yeah, so certainly that area, that little past the crowd, stay on the outside of the markers. So there'll be a good crowd there, and then we run all the way down there. Now, I'll come back to registration in a moment while I'm on a bit of a sausage. So it's about as best you can hear. You can hear the tunes pumping. There's people over the fence. I'm supposed to give high fives there now, but I think people just ignore fist bumps. Usually there's 1 or 2 signs. People with medals hanging around their neck, giving you a bit of encouragement as they're about finished, and then straight down, but really straight down. Come back to the Rego in a second, because you see there's a reasonable queue there, but there are plenty of time. Went right down now. As we head, if we're heading towards the end of the race, this is where it gets tricky. As we head towards the end of a leg, the key is, and you'll show this later, you'll have 3 bibs, 1 for each leg. But actually get the bib off, try and say get a quick change bibs, because I'm going to be behind time. The trick to it is to actually get here by about 1 minute, hour 58 minutes 10k. So you've got a couple of minutes. Change your shirt and on your way again pretty much straight away. There's the interchange area. So at the end of the lap, we've got to turn left. At the end of the second lap or first lap for the others, turn left up the path. And I'm going to go straight as though we're going on the second lap. Up that path there, and right along the carpet, and the finish line should be in there somewhere. They'll reconstruct it, of course, tomorrow. The finish line will be in there. Then what I've got to do is go out of there, and then against the wall will be, against that fence there will be where my bag will be standing. Basically change your shirt, grab a gear and go on with grab gear. Go around the other side of that fence, and those tents, probably grab a drink on the way through, might be an idea. Head straight towards the arch, because we get priority access. Straight towards the arch, the multicoloured arch, straight through that start chute. And straight through the start chute, there used to be people now. I don't think there will be people in this section, but pre-2020 there was. We're still running on this side, completing a second lap, heading in that general direction. We may preview it later, we don't know. But yep, basically through the grass chute, careful of the footing, because it has been known to be a bit boggy in the past. And then you rejoin the road. It looks like there's construction going on there, so that's always fun. Somewhere in that direction, just keep going straight. Pretty much stream along here. Stick to the inside of the fence, and we'll rejoin the road somewhere in there. I've done a bit of reconstruction work since last year. It used to be fairly awkward getting down a step. It looks as though it's going to be a lot smoother this year. move along there, probably follow this area here. Then we probably, because I'm used to have this follow the path a little further. Now we're going to probably end up going down through this car park, narrow section here, so again, be mindful of the slower runners, be mindful of the quicker runners coming the other way. The slower section here, but once you're through this narrow section, the course really opens up. So there's not really a lot of narrow sections after this. Almost through. We end up going through there, through this little narrow section here, pretty much straight down there. We're heading towards the rocking bridge. Some will probably try and get on the footpath, but mainly I reckon will come in the other way. Most of them will probably stay on the road, because we'll end up going through to another car park there. It helps if you have big car park sections for race organisers, I suppose. Past the grill, we go through the car park. I think there's a left-hand turn about where that white sign is. That sign there, I think you can see. Just in the background there, might not be clear. Go left, do a couple of turns, and onto that bridge up there. You used to have to run on the footpath side of the bridge, which often rocked and rolled whenever there was more than about 10 people on it, but back on the roads and then on from there. Okay, it's not a big room, it's fairly late, but we have to get ourselves organised for the day tomorrow. That's me, that's the bib. As I said, there's 3 bibs for 3 races, half 10k, of course we've got the 10 in front, and 5k, and 20, this signifies that. Of course, I've also got the big bag, as you can see there, right there, there's the big bag. That bag has to stay on board after hitting against the fence, which I showed you earlier. Of course, I've got all the lot of shirts in here, because you order early enough to get a lot of shirts. Shirt for the festival itself. Chop and Chill shirt, sponsor shirt, which is the opposite colour, which is the inverse of last year. Last year it was navy blue with white writing. This one I'll only wear if I finish, and probably when I finish. So I won't worry too much about that. And after that, there's also, that's the other one, it's the sister event at Forster. I won't go to that because that's when I'm heading overseas. If I want coffee, which I don't think I will want, and a bit of a tourist guide. So the tourism, you're obviously all in on it. So each of these bibs have to go to each shirt to make it so much easier and to save time on the transitions. So here's a bag I had earlier, which happens to be last year's bag, which happens to be the same as that one. So I've got 3 shirts to choose from. So I believe this shirt will be for one of them, the 50k one. I'm thinking this shirt will probably be for the half, but again I'll just make a quick decision on it a little bit later. And representing Run Down Under for the next one, so that's the third one. Again, after each leg I'll just put on a fresh shirt, which makes it so much easier so much easier in transition, so much quicker, and a fresh shirt will make it mean I won't have to sweat so much. It's the only event I'll be able to do it in, because every other event is basically just one race. So all I need to do now is match up the bibs to whatever shirt I want, and we'll go from there. We'll get some shuttle. I'll be up about sometime around 4 o'clock. So I've got to make sure I don't get up too early, but I make sure I don't get up too late, because I've got to be there about 6, and this is a bit longer walk than previous years. This is a bit further out to the precinct than I usually stay at.